Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. One more sleep and it's Friday. Good morning, everybody. Tap in. I really actually wanted to do this last night, but my emotions were running a little bit too high. So this morning I woke up and I was like, you know what? It's still on my heart. I should talk about it. So, right, I'm eating dinner last night and my grandmother comes downstairs and she's like, hey, when you're done with dinner, can you come upstairs and read this email for me? Maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but I am an editor. I have a degree in journalism. I have a degree in public relations. I know a little bit about sentence structure, format, grammar, things like that, proofreading. And so a lot of times people in my family, some of my friends ask me for assistance when it comes to having to write things. And I'm happy to lend my skills. So anyway, like I was saying, she came downstairs and asked me after if I could proofread her email. She did not give me any context about what the email. Hey, UFO kamikaze. Oh, let me turn my ringer off. So she asked me to do that, and of course, it's my Nana. Of course, I'm gonna do it. I told her, I said, yeah, let me finish eating, and I'll be up there, and I'll take a look. Happy to do so, right? Oh, by the way, before I get into that, it's 77 degrees according to my dashboard, which means that we're finally in spring. It's only the first week in June, but New Jersey's finally in spring. Like you could call this spring now. Anything above, to me, anything above 60, 65, that makes it spring. But we were struggling to get in the 60s good. And today is actually, yesterday was warm too, but today is supposed to be even warmer. But the temperatures will go back down next week, I'm sure, because we're not in summer yet. So summer for us is 80 degrees, steady 80 degree weather, 80 to 90 degree weather, right? We might get it a little higher than the 90s in like August. But it's the first week in June and we're just now starting to get spring temps, like steady spring temps. Anyway, so I go upstairs and I read this email, and my grandmother, she's a sweetheart. My Nana is a sweetheart. She's a lovely lady. She's somebody who people go to because they know they can depend on her. She is very passive, non-confrontational at all. Like, oof. But and in a lot of ways I'm like her, but as I've traversed adulthood, I've learned that some of those ways are not very beneficial, right? So when I recognize them in her or in other people that I care about, sometimes it makes me angry, because there's nothing I can do about that, right? That's who they are. You have to let people be who they are. Fine. So I'm reading the email. I'm not going to go into what she was saying in the email, but the email was like 4 paragraphs, right? And I'm like, first of all, nobody's reading all this. Second of all, what are you even talking about, right? So now I'm like, I got to go back to the original message that she responded to, because I'm like, I need to figure out what was the motivation for writing this and what situation are we talking about here. Now in her message, she's like raising concerns about this is not what we agreed upon, Why am I just now finding out about this? Why did you do things without letting me know? So on and so forth, which to me is a moot point, because if these things were already done, you can't take them back. So you kind of just got to rock with the fact that, okay, this person is telling you these things happened, this, and this. Hi, MJ. So you got to either go back with a counter offer or agree to whatever terms this person is trying to get you to agree to. So then I started asking questions, because I'm like, why is he asking you for this much money if you guys discussed a certain amount? Like, what happened to that amount? And furthermore, why are you going back and forth with him about this agreement that y'all had? Reiterate the fact that you had this agreement. This is what you're willing to do, and wait for a response. In my opinion, that's the best way to go about it, because it was a fender bender that happened last year, last September, mind you, and he's just now following up with her about payment for the damage. Clue Studio, hey Clue. So in my opinion, this must not have been very much of a concern for you, because if it was, you would have done something about it sooner. You would have at the very least mentioned it sooner, right? But here we are in June, 3 months to the year, right? Because it happened in September of 24. So again, I'm asking questions because I'm trying to get an idea of what the issue is, right? So again, she had a fender bender last September. She agreed to pay for the repair of the damage, to forego having a police report or going through insurance, which a lot of people do that in Jersey because it's just easier, especially when there's no real significant damage or injury, right? To go through creating a police report and then going through insurance, it's gonna make your insurance go up. And so a lot of people try to shy away from that because we pay high insurance for auto insurance in New Jersey. All right. Cool. So I asked my grandmother, do you have photos of the incident? Because this guy sent her photos of the damages that he supposedly got repaired. And according to my grandmother, she didn't do those damages. She's alleging that there was further damage done to the vehicle and that he possibly took it to get fixed after that further damage was done. And he's trying to get my grandmother on the hook for the entire bill. So at that point, I was like, listen, he can either take your initial offer or kick rocks, because there was no police report made. He's already had the repairs done, and he's sending you some bogus receipt with amounts crossed out. So to me, already my red flag goes right up, because I'm like, how is it that there's too many variables that aren't clear and were not agreed upon? So I don't think that you should be left on the hook for something that you didn't agree upon, as well as the fact that you let all this time go by before you said anything. So in this moment, I'm trying to recraft her message back to him in a way that buttons this all up, because I don't think that they should be going back and forth via email. So I'm like, when's the next time you're going to see him? She's like, oh, I'm not. It was for an event that we were all traveling to and we met up at. And when we were leaving the event, that's when this happened. So I'm like, all right. Because she's like wanting to get a written agreement that this is the agreement that she's going to pay this and that he's going to be fine with it, right? So I'm like, well, how do you plan to have this agreement sorted out if you guys are not even going to be in proximity? Now, I get it. You can sign documents electronically. I totally get that. But you have to remember, my grandmother is nearing 80 years old. She's not tech savvy. This is not something that she's thinking about. Exactly. Patting the bill, Clue. Patting the bill. And because my grandmother's a sweetheart, and most people know that about her, she's church going, she's God fearing, they think that they could get over on her. So I'm like, hell no. You not about to get over on my Nana. Not if I have anything to do with it. She done fucked up now because she got me reading this email, and now I'm going back into their conversation back and forth. And I'm seeing, based on what he said to her, you trying to get the one up, right? And I'm sorry to say this. Well, no, I'm not sorry to say this. But looks can be deceiving many times. And sometimes they can tell you all you need to know. This joker has his picture in his email signature, so you can see what he looks like. And I don't know if anybody listening to me has had experience with men in the church, specifically single men in the church, specifically single black zesty men in the church. A lot of times they carry mess. A lot of times they bring mess into those types of situations. And so that gave me pause as well, because I'm like, what is your motive? What are you actually trying to do? And you not doing it on my grandmother's back. Sorry, not sorry. So I said to my grandmother, I'm like, I'm writing, this is not what we agreed to. I'm paraphrasing right now. I made the email much more succinct. I cut off 3 of them paragraphs that she had, because I was like, I'm telling you, I told her why. I'm like, there's no reason for you guys to go back and forth on hemming and hawing about what the conversation was back in September, how you guys haven't spoken since then, how he came to you with this receipt. There's no reason to go back and forth with that. Make him an offer, tell him he can either take it or kick rocks. And that's basically the gist of what I said in the email back to him. I attached a Word document, and hi, cool kid. Clue says she got hit by a choir director. Lord, I don't even know if he was the choir director. He was giving that. I didn't ask her. I don't really care about him. I don't care. I don't care who he is, what he does. I don't care. The whole point is, he sent my grandmother pictures. My grandmother doesn't have her own pictures, and I said, well, that's where you messed up, because you should have taken pictures at the incident just to be sure that you had an idea or a record of what actually occurred, so that when it came time for there to be repairs made, you could have had something to go on. At this point, the burden is on him to prove that you owe him anything, because so much time has elapsed and there's no communication corroborating one thing or another, right? So she's like, well, I just said we could split the difference between what his amount is and what we agreed upon. And I said, no. I said, absolutely not, because now you're giving him what he wants. Now you're giving him more of what he wants, and that's not on you. I don't even think that $600, which is the amount they originally agreed upon, I don't even think that $600 is all necessary to bring out whatever ding he had in the car in the first place. But I'm not a mechanic, I'm not an auto body specialist, I don't know the going rate of these things, right? But if $600 was it, then to me, go ahead and give him the $600, because you already said that's a number you had in your head. I'm fine with that if you're fine with that. What is your desired outcome? Because that was really what I was concerned with. What does she want this to end up being? Because I don't care about what he wants, right? And so she's just like, well, I just don't want him to think he can take advantage of me. And that's why I said these were my concerns, and that I'm okay with paying the difference between the $600 and the $1,200. So I was like, listen, he can either get that $600 from you because that's what you're planning to give him, or he can get nothing and try to get it from you in court. In which case, he's going to have an uphill battle, because like you said, yeah, sounds like a Judge Judy episode. If they were on Judge Judy would side with my grandmother merely for the fact that the documentation that he has provided is not sufficient enough to either A, establish her being at fault, and B, how much he paid to get it fixed, right? You took it upon yourself to go get your car fixed without consulting me on the payment, which is what we had agreed upon. So you got to eat that. right? Now, because my grandmother did admit fault, I'm sure Judge Judy would be like, well, you do have to do something because you're admitting fault. You're admitting that you did hit his car, that it was a fender bender. Problem is, you don't have pictures. He has pictures of when he got his car fixed. There's nobody there to say, yes, this happened. Yes, my grandmother caused it. Or, no, this didn't happen. Yes, he got in an additional accident. Right? So in my opinion, if the conversation was presented to Judge Judy the same way it was presented to me, she would probably think, yeah, $600 is fine. Go ahead and pay him that. So yeah, it just made me mad because like, I don't, my grandmother has been swindled before a few times. One time by a family member for like $100K. This was a distant cousin, but still, it was the fact that they had all met up for a funeral. I wasn't able to go, so I did not know about this until after the fact. But, you know, he got her information and found some way to get $100,000 out of her. For which nobody ever even really made an apology or an attempt to pay her back. So, pardon me for being just a little bit protective when it comes to things like this. Again, my grandmother's nearing 80 years old. I don't know how much time I have left with her, but I would hate for it to be wrapped up in me trying to unravel knots that she's gotten herself into. You know? She's still very much with it. She still drives. She's still of sound mind for the most part. But sometimes her decision-making skills are questionable in my opinion, because I'm just like, did you think this through, or did you consider talking to someone about this? But I digress. Again, this happened last night, and I was going to do a live stream about it last night just because I wanted to get it off my chest, but I was still too emotional, and I didn't want to get up here and start cussing and screaming. That is not the representation that I want of myself. And so, yeah, it just made me mad, not at my grandmother, but just at people. The fact that there are people out here who don't mean us any good, and especially when they look at you like you're a lick, you know? And there's nothing you could do about that. There's just people out here who are cruel. It's the world we live in. So yeah, I'm probably not gonna keep this up. I just wanted to vent about it. Get that off my chest. This person that I'm driving behind keeps hitting his brakes for some reason, and I don't know why. He's driving a Subaru Forester. I don't have any slander for Subarus. I don't. But you know, I think sometimes people be a little bit too invested in what people are doing in the cars that they're not in. And he see me jamming or whatever, and he maybe don't like the fact that I'm having a good time in my car right now. I don't know. People be mad for no reason. Hate to say it, but avoiding contacting authorities for a vehicle crash could be problematic if it didn't happen on private property. That's true. That's true, Kamikaze. And I was in a fender bender a couple months ago myself, but the guy never called me. And I was like, you know, I'm willing to pay for the repairs. I scratched his car. But because I was pulling out of a parking spot on a street, I was pulling out, so turning to the left to get into the lane, and he was backing up as I was pulling out. So one could argue it wasn't even my fault, but I digress. He did call a cop, but when the cop came, he gave us an option, like, do you want to draw up a police report or not? And I'm like, yo, I'm cool with not doing it if he's cool with not doing it. So we both agreed not to do it. Mind you, the guy never called me for repairs, and he probably won't, because it was literally a scratch. But again, I was willing to pay for whatever that scratch was, just to be done with it. Now, months later, who is this man? Harpo, who is this man? I don't know this man. In my opinion, if you really wanted it, you would have came for it sooner. And since you didn't, I'm going to assume that you weren't beat. So therefore, I'm not beat. Thank you for moving, Ford Escape, because you're driving very slowly in this left lane, and I'm trying to get to where I'm getting to, and so I can get to work on time. So anyway, yeah, it's, people are people. People are people. But I'm feeling good. Almost done with the week. We're going to have a great day. Nothing is stopping me from having a great day. Hey, Third. He said I look cute. Thank you. Thank you. I felt like putting on a little red lip today. I don't normally wear a red lip, but I felt like wearing a red lip today. It's not too jarring. I lined my lips with a little brown, so it's not like boom, because when you got big lips and you wear red lipstick, it's like boom. Hi, I have big lips. I don't need to announce that. They announce themselves. Put my earring back in, it just fell out. But I hope everybody's having a great week. We're coming to the end of it now. So, one more sleep till Friday, y'all. One more sleep. I'm looking forward to hanging out with my old roommate this weekend. She and I haven't seen each other for a few months. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with her. I think we're going to hang out on Saturday. Oh, I didn't even tell y'all. Last weekend, I hung out with my bestie. No, I did tell y'all. I came and did a live after we left the restaurant. I was about to say, I didn't even tell y'all about my amazing sushi experience. But if you saw my last live stream, you got to meet my bestie, and you got to see us both being super full from having all you can eat sushi in celebration of his birthday. I'm still reeling off of the experience because it was so good. Your nails and hair are pretty. Thank you. I had my locks in Bantu knots for the past 2 days to give it some texture and some shape. Yeah. My hair's growing quite nicely, so before I retwist it, I felt like, let me go ahead. I'm gonna actually get some rollers too. I'm gonna do a rod set soon. Red lip is just fine. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh man, this place is packed, isn't it? Am I even gonna be able to get in the parking lot? Because they're closing early today, so I'm trying to get this done. Everybody's trying to get it done because you got to get it done before noon. They put up all these signs last week like, hey, you got to come do your testing before noon on Thursday because we're closing promptly at noon. Which I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. This is on my way to work anyway. So we here. Danny D. Kane. What y'all know about Danny D. Kane? Shout out to Danny D. Kane. All right. I would say that I would stay live, but not because I'm about to go into this facility. I'll do a quick fit check for y'all. Hold on. Let me put my phone on my car. And then y'all can see what I'm wearing today. A skirt with pockets. I'm wearing a skirt with pockets. And I got a heel on. See? I don't know if you can see. The sun is really bright, so I can't even see what y'all see. But, do you see any drones in Jersey? Yeah, we've been seeing them for a few years now. Yep. But, peace, ease, and whatever you please. That was a bug on my lip. I hope y'all have a great day. I'm right near an airport, so you just heard a plane go by. I hope y'all have a good day, and we'll talk soon. Hi. Bright and early, well before noon.
There you go.